Hello once again. This time we are going to tackle about the fish culture. So what is fish culture? Fish culture is the husbandry practice of rearing fin fish. Fish culture is where people own and look after a stock of fish. This might involve regular stocking, fertilization and feeding, protection from predators and disease, and taking care of the environment. Fish culture is becoming popular for food, employment, and income generation. Fish culture existed in China at least 4,000 years ago. In the US, fish culture had its roots as a tool in government efforts to rehabilitate depleted stocks of migrating fish such as shad. An extensive system of federal and state freshwater sport fish hatcheries developed and became the precursor for private sport and food fish production. The practice of fish culture is part of a conglomerate of small industries now known as aquaculture. Fish culture includes the raising of fish in natural bodies of water and in artificial ponds. Species commonly selected for culture. In India, it is common to select for culture fish species that live in the major rivers of the north of the country. They are called carps. They have scales on the body but none of the head. The three most commonly grown are called Bakor, Roy Rojo, and Mercalli. Katla has a big head and deep body, a wide upturned mouth, a thick lower lip with a fold, large scales, grayish-black on the back and off-white on the belly. It grows to a large size and has reached 30 to 40 kilograms in quite a few tanks and reservoirs in Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. And Ruhu has a medium-sized head and small mouth. Its scales have a reddish tinge on their margins. It is greenish on the back and grayish below. Their maximum size is about 20 kilograms. While Regal has a slender body, a small head with golden eyes, a round mouth with thin lips, and a tubercle in the middle of the lower jaw. The scales are golden in the back and sides, whitish on the belly, and the fins are golden with a blackish tinge. Their maximum size is about 12 kilograms. Their food and feeding habits. Katla feeds mainly on tiny animals, but occasionally insect larvae, algae, and bits of aquatic weeds are also taken. The shape of its mouth is such that it can feed in the surface layers and hence the fish normally swims in the upper layer of water. It is the fastest growing of the Indian major carps. Within 1 year, it can weigh 700 to 800 grams in a fertilized pond without adding extra feed and about 1 to 1.5 kilograms with additional feeding. And Ruho is a mid-water feeder, eating plankton, vegetable matter, and debris. It is well adapted to graze tiny plants that grow on the surface of submerged objects. After 1 year in ponds, it weighs 400 to 500 grams without feed, but may even grow up to 1 kilogram with added feed. While Regal is a typical bottom feeder that picks up large quantities of decaying things along with small animals and plants found in the bottom layers. After 1 year, it weighs 400 to 500 grams in pond rich in organic matter. When fed, it can reach 1 kilogram. Their water and soil. Seasonal ponds are often more available than perennial ponds. They dry up completely, making it easy to harvest fish and to control predators and problems, but they should be able to produce a crop of fish before the water dries up. While perennial ponds are often used by many people, fish culture may conflict with water used for irrigation, washing, or even drinking. They often are a home to large predators which will eat seed and fry, and they may be difficult and expensive to fish due to their size or depth. Yet, you will need to think of the things about the soil and water which affect the fish. Very cloudy waters should be avoided. Cloudy water can make it difficult to see fish and could be a symptom of a growing water imbalance. And also, it's not a good idea to put a pond in a very shady area, as it will become stagnant. The plants that supply oxygen to the water will need some sunlight. And what happens throughout the aquaculture year? Aquaculture has to fit with the rains. It is good to begin planning early, building or clearing what you need from January. In a hatchery, spawning takes place when the rains come in July to August. Nursery ponds are prepared to receive fish seed. Eventually, fish of around 150 millimeters, called fingerling, are ready to stock seasonal or perennial ponds to grow to a size where they can be sold. So, fish culture is where you own the fish and care for them. Many people culture carps like bakor, roy, and merikali in India. Also, fish spawn when the rains come. The aquaculture year fits around the rains. Fish eat small plants, small animals, and things which grow on leaves and rock surfaces. A mixture of species is good to use all the space and food in the pond. You will need to fertilize a pond to increase the number of small plants and animals and can feed other materials like rice, bran, and oil cakes to fish. Avoid swampy, marshy, and peaty soils. Also, avoid saline, acid, alkaline, cloudy, and hard waters. At this moment, let us know the classification of fish culture on the basis of number of species. We have monoculture and polyculture. Monoculture. This is the culture of single species of fish in a pond or tank. Examples are the advantage of monoculture is that it enables the farmer to make the feed that will meet the requirement of a specific fish, especially in the intensive culture system. Fish of different ages can be stacked, thereby enhancing selective harvesting. And here are the common monoculture practices around the world. On the other hand, polyculture is the practice of culturing more than one species of aquatic organism in the same pond. The motivating principle is that fish production in ponds may be maximized by raising a combination of species having different food habits. The mixture of fish gives better utilization of available natural food produced in a pond. Polyculture began in China more than 1,000 years ago. The practice has spread throughout the Southeast Asia and into other parts of the world. While fish may be grouped into broad categories based on their feeding habits, some overlap does occur. Descriptions of the feeding habit categories and examples of fish from each category are as follows. Issues meet of polyculture. Pond management becomes more difficult when stocking fish species have specialized feeding habits in the same pond because proper fertilization and feeding practices must be followed. If inadequate fingerling supply severely limits the choice of species available for polyculture, at least one species should have general rather than specialized feeding behavior. This would allow more of the available natural food to be utilized. Fish culture practices. The fish culture practices includes artificial propagation, rearing of fry and fingerlings, rearing of fish to marketable size in ponds, fish diseases under control, design of fish farms and its significance in management, and economics of pond culture. Artificial propagation, like breeding of fish, pools, and in rearing tanks. Rearing of fry and fingerlings. The fry are left in the hatchery tanks for 3 to 5 days before being transported to nursery pans of 2 to 3 mu. The pans are cleared to eliminate predators and treated to control infections. They are also fertilized a few days prior to stocking with organic manures. While fingerlings may be raised in the same fry pans, but the pans have to be cleaned out and limed to get rid of pests and prevent disease outbreaks. Great care is taken to select healthy strong fry for stocking in fingerling pans. More reliance is placed on artificial feeds like rice bran, soya bean cake, peanut cakes, and wine residues. Rearing of fish to marketable size in pans. Stocking rates. A very high level of inputs and constant care of stock are needed to get high production. The combination of species certainly contributes to high productivity. Fertilizing, feeding, and pond management. Fertilization. Organic manures such as pig manures, sewage, or poultry manures. Feed. Aquatic plants or grasses to grass carp, crush snails to black carp. When water conditions deteriorate in pans, especially when dissolved oxygen deficiency occurs, clean fresh water may be pumped in or where aerators are installed. Here are the fish diseases and their control. As we can see, we have stigmatosis, white spot disease, myxosporidiasis, disease caused by trematode parasites, disease caused by cystode parasites, and other diseases like Lernia and saprolegnia. Design of fish farms and its significance in management. The ponds are relatively deep, in most cases 2 to 3 meters. This is necessary for the polyculture of various species that inhabit distinct layers in the ponds and to enable the culture of large stocks of fish. Since the maintenance of such deep ponds is not difficult and the need for sluices and other water control structures is reduced. The ideal size of production ponds was reported to be 4 to 5 mu. In areas where the soil is poor and porous, ponds of 10 mu are more common. Fry and fingerling ponds are generally 2 to 3 mu in area. There is a tendency to build rectangular or square-shaped ponds or remodel all irregular-shaped ones into square ponds. The construction cost of square ponds is lower than that of rectangular ones, and it would appear that aeration of water by wind or aerator would be more efficient in square ponds. The regular shape of the ponds facilitates the use of motorized vehicles in the farm and the mechanization of operations. Economics of pond culture. In China, the cost of production and profit made in certain communes and production brigades. As is only to be expected, there are considerable variation in investment and production cost per unit area. It ranged from yuan 260 over mu to yuan 1,500 over mu. The income from fish was quoted as yuan 140 over mu as against yuan 130 over mu for rice in Xiaoqiao People's Commune in Guangdong Province. In Sheye Commune in Sishu County, income from fish was reported to be yuan 1,000 per person as against yuan 600 per person from rice production. In Hengyang, the cost of production of fish was yuan 0.20 to 0.23 over gin, and it was sold to the state of yuan 0.35 over gin. Fisheries in the Philippines. Did you know that the Philippines sits at the heart of the Coral Triangle, which is the global center of marine biodiversity? About halfway between the provinces of Batangas and Mindoro, the Verde Island Passage boasts the highest concentration of marine species in the planet. Studies showed that its reefs are home to nearly 60% of the world's known fishes, as well as over 300 species of corals. In 2017, the Philippines had a population of about 103 million and mean per capita consumption of fish and fishery products of 40 kilograms per year or 109 grams per day, with a percent of fish and fishery products intake to the total intake at 12.8%. In 2015, the fishing industry contributed 1.5% and 1.7% at current and constant prices respectively to the country's gross domestic products, with the fisheries sector providing employment to over 1.6 million people, 85% of whom were from the municipal fisheries and 1% from commercial fisheries, while the aquaculture sector employed 14%. Fish utilization. The country's fish catch are sold in local markets, although significant portion, especially shrimps, are shipped to Manila or other urban areas. Around 70% of the catch is consumed fresh or chilled, while 30% is processed. The bulk of cod fish and fishery products are consumed locally, while only a small quantity is exported as ethnic products. Fish drying is the most common form of processing, particularly the smaller size species caught by commercial trawlers. Smoked and salted fish are also to a lesser extent prepared in various forms for selected species like the anchovies. Canned products, particularly tuna, are consumed locally in smaller quantities compared with the export volume, and most of the frozen products are meant for export.